There, say something now. Hello?
How's that?
Oh, good. Yeah, I think it was my end, not your end. Sorry. I should have specified.
No problem.
See my new shinies that I'm playing with?
Yeah, so I'm upgrading my parts right now as well. Now I used the new printed parts for the top.
Yeah, I don't think they would fit with the gates.
Um, he has the instructions for the gates out there. I think they do, because he now has you use taller um, uh, shoulder bolts.
Hmm. Where are
I
these as
think
special
so.
instructions? Because these work.
Hold on just a second, and I will see if I can find it.
Here, check.
Did you get the?
Like, these fit perfectly in here right now.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Let me look real quick. The one thing that I was a little confused with the other day when I talked with him is the double corner pulleys instructions aren't out there, or they weren't as of uh, Saturday or Monday, I think it was.
Yeah. I'm confessing to pretty much kind of winging it at the moment.
Yeah, so he has using 12 millimeter long shoulder bolts.
12
Or no,
millimeter long
12.
shoulder
Yeah,
bolt.
yeah. M4 shoulder screw, 12 millimeter long, 5 millimeter diameter.
I don't know how that could possibly work.
Oh, wait. That's the old ones. Sorry. And then he has you take. That's the old ones that he has you take out. Then you use the 14 millimeter standoffs. You drop all the new bolts through. Oh, the corner pulley plates are different heights now. The what do they call it? The motor motor corner plate spacer.
Right? The 3 millimeter spacer?
No. The actual spacer that goes underneath the metal brackets that the motors bolt through.
Oh, on
Those
the
are new.
corner plates.
Yeah, on the yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on the back plates right now. So yeah, I have new printed parts for those.
Yeah. Um, and then he basically said that the stack up for you're doing the double corner pulleys on the back, right? Is that what you're working on, or the motor plates?
Motor plates.
Okay. Yeah. So on the motor plates, he has you. There's one that is a must reprint, and then there's another one that is a uh, you can upgrade it reprint.
What? Don't
Yeah. So there's now the RMS 05, and then there is the
didn't I don't remember him saying anything about you must reprint something for the back plates.
the new one, the RMS 05, the new corner plate that goes underneath. So if you're looking at page sheet 4 of 12,
What's different between the RMS05 and the RMS04, I guess?
it's thicker.
Well,
It's thicker to adjust for the height difference that changes that he used for like the Gates belts.
well,
Since the gate belt the second belt has to be taller up, He basically just kept the plate on top of the metal plate the same, and then made the spacer thicker.
No, he didn't say anything about that, so I didn't realize it.
It's in the release notes.
Well, I guess I didn't. What release notes?
The 2.02.
Yeah. Well, my bad. I didn't read the 2.02 release notes because I was never really upgrading to the 2.02. I was going to upgrade to the.
Yeah.
But there is no way in hell that these things would, these spacers, I just printed them. There's no way in hell that these would fit into the under those bolts. Maybe with the old now with the gate. Like these things are.
Show me what you're talking about. I can't.
So I just pulled this off the printer. So this is the new one, and then this is like the thickness of the old one. Like they're.
Yeah.
It's like.
So
it's
that's
over
why
twice
he has
as
you
thick.
get. Yeah, that's why there's. I believe it's. Let me check. There's a new bolt.
Well, I'm looking at the instructions right now, and these instructions actually show the aluminum corner plates being built with the Delrin pieces. Do you see my screen right now? Those are 100% the Delrin pieces.
Let me go grab mine real quick.
I'm literally looking at the aluminum assembly instruction manual right now.
So yeah, can you see my video? Here.
Okay. Let's see how I make it bigger. It's very small. There we go.
Okay. So for the non-gates now, so he has you upgraded this larger.
Wait, what plate do you have there? That is not what I just printed, and I just printed right out of the manual, or right out of the latest update. Like, that's not what my pieces look like whatsoever.
That's the double corner pulley spacer that you've got in your hand right there. Bring it over to the camera.
Right, but I just printed all the spacers that were in the manual, and none of them.
What you're looking for?
Well, the Delrin plates was just fine.
Okay.
I mean,
what I
look
had
at
to
it.
mess with
It's like
was,
perfect.
See my pulleys?
Sure.
So the generics that he specified were like 8.5 tall. POW GE, their pulleys are 9. So they're not as tall as Gates, but they're not as tall as they're taller than the generics, and so my stack ups aren't right. So I went and bought a whole, like 4 bags of shims to improve it. So that's the current thing I've got to do, is I'm going to basically bolt this and the double corner pulley spacers, because you've got to line them up. And I have the stack worked out, because what happened was, on this, there's no problem. You've got plenty of wiggle room on the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the double corner pulley spacers, or double corner pulleys on both sides, since they stack one on top of the other, they don't line up now with these. So I had to go sit down, break out the calculator, do the math, and figure out that I need a total of 0.66666 repeater spacers between every layer to make it all line up. So hopefully it should line up with these, which is a 3 millimeter spacer with a 0.2 millimeter spacer on top. So yeah, that's fun. And then this new plate, the RMS-05, uses a different switch than the plate that, because you built yours on 2.0, right?
It uses a different switch?
Yeah. So it uses
What
there's
switch?
I'll show you. Hold on.
Oh. I have like a lot of different switches now.
The old one was this, or the current one on 2.0 was this. Can you see it? Is it in focus enough? He actually moved it back to the old one from the 1.0 build. Which is, hold on, let me grab it.
Well, I have all the 1.0 build switches, so I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, he moved it to this switch.
Gotcha.
And he didn't, what happened was, when he made 2.0, that spacer wasn't thick enough for that switch to fit. So he moved to a new switch. But in 2.02, and when he did the motor plates, the new motor plates, he switched to that one. Because it was easier to get a hold of. So, but hey, I just wanted to stop on, say hey, see how things were going.
Somebody just deflated my bubble.
Me?
No, it's good. I didn't realize there was more corner plate. For some reason, I thought Josh had like you were reusing them or something.
Yeah.
I guess I'm.
Yeah, I literally had just gotten in all my new parts and had just printed. You know, these were the one things that I had completely assembled and done. And then I got the new metal plates, and I was like, well, that comes all apart now. So I had to, you know, do the, he even changed the heat pressed insert slightly. That is now, so before it was just like straight through, but he basically like, I don't know how you would say it. It's basically conical now on the other side, so that when you push the heated insert in, the plastic doesn't plug up the hole in the insert as much.
Yeah, what I thought I was printing is not the same thing as what I actually was printing.
Oh.
So I printed all of the, I don't know, I didn't read closely enough. Like I saw the 2 reinforcement plates on right, 2 on left, and I assumed they were the 2 different kinds. But apparently there is a different spacer or a different plate for the front as and the crossbar now for some reason.
Huh.
So you need 4 different unique prints for that when you used to have, I thought it was Oh, I know why they're different. Yeah, okay. But you have a right and a left now as well. So what the heck is the name of the plate that's supposed to go for the the back?
What?
So I see the left corner pulley reinforcement, left crossbar reinforcement,
Yep.
and then oh, motor reinforcement. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
And there's only
Yep.
one version of that?
Yep. Yeah, that confused me too.
Hmm. Here I thought I might get stuff back together tonight. Huh.
Well, and I'm curious about some of the changes that he has listed in here for 2.03. And it's not so much the bed plate or the remote elastic lock, although he said that that's it's easier. But he said he wouldn't mess with it if you already have it working. I asked him about that. I was like, am I gonna put this elastic lock all together just in time for you to be like, nope, this is better? And he's like, no. He's like, I just made it with a different spring so that it's easier for people to get and assemble. Nobody has to make the little crazy spring that goes all the way around anymore.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
yeah,
and
he
then
was
he did replace parts that have like square nuts in them now,
yeah,
where
the
you have that's all been gone with metal hubs. And then the other one is there's a printed pulley spacer that can now be clipped in after the fact to ensure shims were installed correctly beforehand. So you know how we have to like put the bolts through the spacer and then stack everything up and then turn it upside down, put it in, and hope that that little the shim doesn't like get caught between the
which spot are you talking about?
so on the printed pulley spacer, he redesigned it so that it can now be clipped in after the fact to ensure that the shims were installed correctly before you do it. You've you've got like the
What part of the machine did you say we're talking about again? I missed the bus.
this is on the the lock, the locking mechanism
Oh,
on the tool head. You know how there's the half pulley and then the printed pulley?
yeah. It's been a long time since I assembled that, so I don't
Yeah.
remember all of the inner
I
workings.
think that's what he's talking about here.
Did you see my new carriage?
You're what?
What I did to the carriage?
No.
So, are you watching the camera right now? So, can you? I don't know if you're watching or not, but
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I extended these the front and back plates up a bit higher and added
Okay.
some bolts to
We
it.
were working on that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I put made the holes bigger for this piece and put heated inserts in it.
Okay.
So now we can take this apart without having to worry about stripping the plastic. And
Nice.
then I made this piece that will go on top. Um, and I think one of the things that is causing print defects is, and I could be completely off my rocker on this, I'll admit it. I mean, I don't know. But this plate is kind of flexy. Like, let me see. So I can see that. Like,
No, you got to bring it down. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, that part.
yeah. So it's pretty flexible. And when
Yeah.
you're whipping this head around with a Hemera on it, and you've got the belt attached to this, I can't believe that's
So
not flexing. So now this
that was one of
will
my
go like that.
concerns.
See?
Okay, so it'll bridge across, yeah.
And this is also in preparation for CPAP eventually.
Okay.
So what I did here,
So that has been one of my concern areas on the use of PETG on the printer. He did
yeah,
everything with PLA, which is much stiffer.
yeah. So there we go. Now there's like
Right.
it clamps right in there. It's text, and it locks in really nicely. I don't know how well that camera's gonna pick that up, but
Yeah.
anyway, this version does not support the CPAP hose. That's just purely a spacer. So that'll get swapped out eventually when I get a real design for the CPAP. But I think it's going to require changing this design to basically do something, either take the switch and move it over into the side, or put the BL Touch there like Dano has, and then use the center chamber and come down with a CPAP to attach to this and create a pressurized chamber and a duct that will connect up to the carriage.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen much of the stuff on the new Creality printer.
No, I don't really pay attention to Creality, to be honest. Other than I've seen they had a new extruder.
Yeah. Well, they have the new 6 SE, which they're doing a Kickstarter, and then they've got the 5 Pro. The 6 SE, the thing that they've done on it that's pretty nifty is it's now using an FSR, or force sensitive resistor, for the bed leveling, like a lot of your Deltas do.
What's that do for you?
So you basically don't have to worry. You know how we keep bashing the switches into things?
I know that some people have been, yes.
Yeah. So instead, what you do is you build the print head to have a flexure in it, and then you put the force sensitive resistor in between that flexure, so that when
Oh, the load
you
cell.
touch it to the bed, it actually picks up the force. So you basically, it can detect the print head or the system itself touching the bed.
Yeah, you're basically talking about a load cell.
Yeah. Load cells are more expensive than FSRs, which is why
Well,
the
it's
FSRs
doing the same
used.
thing.
But load cells are just a lot more accurate.
Yeah, we use load cells in our dynamic balancers.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what they're putting in their new printer, for basically the Z-axis end stop and for the bed leveling. And they're moving to an all sensorless design or switchless design for all their end stops, supposedly. So they're using the TMC drivers to do it.
I've heard that those are not very repeatable.
I have a little bit of concern with it.
Yeah, I'd rather have the repeatability than no switches.
Yeah. But yeah, that I was actually thinking the other day what it would take to basically redesign the Jubilee carriage to have an FSR built into the the mount essentially for like leveling, so you could get rid of that switch essentially.
I guess I should try my hand at one of these corner double stack corners or something. Not like I have to stop because I don't have the parts I want.
Yeah, I had to stop, and actually I may hop off here for a minute or for the night to try to work on mine
Oh,
because I had to stop because I had to get shims for the new pulleys.
you see these?
Gauge,
What's that?
nice. A
Yeah,
little belt strain gauge.
yeah, it's what Dan will put on there for belt tensioning gauge.
Yeah, I've been looking at those for a while on my current Core XY. I just have never had time to do it.
No, it didn't take long.
So
They're
I don't.
incredibly quick to assemble.
Yeah, I don't. I just have to go get the springs.
Yeah, it's just a pen. I just ordered a
Oh, it's
set
a
of
pen
pens.
string.
Yeah, it just uses
Spring.
what do you call this thing? Pilot G2.
Oh yeah. We have a bunch of those around the house.
It just uses a spring out of that and couple
I'm
printed.
holding one in my hand now.
Yeah, so you just
Unfortunately, I believe that is my fiance's favorite pen. So
well, it can still be your favorite pen. It just won't click anymore.
right. So, but yeah, I think I have pretty much everything at this point that I need. I discovered several bolts that I was missing last week, and then the shims. And so I was like, seriously, more bolts, more shims. Because I talked to Josh about the bolts or
Yeah.
about the shims on my printer, since the POW GE pulleys are slightly different. And Josh was like, just buy some different shims and try it out. He's like, I just fucked around with it.
What's so special about the POW GE?
They're popular on Core XYs because they're supposedly a better quality, pulley, and they're
Better
actually
better quality than just the generic stuff,
than just
or
the generics, yeah. And so I thought when Josh looked at and I had talked to him way back in 1.0 that I was using POW GE. I was probably going to source mine from POW GE because they're reliable and a lot of people use them. And
what do they
I've
cost?
not much. they're like half the cost of Gates. And so I got them, and Josh assumed that they were all the ones that he had kind of out of his office slash lab were 8.5 millimeters tall, and the POW GEs are 9 millimeters tall. So when you put two in that double puller in the double corner pulley setup, where one has to be higher than the other, uh, you got a problem. So he was like, well, you should be able to make it work with the 2.02. So I reprinted all the parts for 2.02, waited for my the metal plates to come in, got them, started assembling them, and the first thing I do is I assemble the double quarter pulley ones because I knew I had a problem with them last time, and I tighten everything down, and the pulleys won't turn. And I'm like, well, that's bad. So I take it and stack it all up, look at everything on the shoulder bolt, and realize that it's literally about 2 millimeters too high. So I was like, okay, well, that's gonna suck. Because my option was, for the generics, he now has you putting screw uh, oh my god, my brain's dying. Um, oh my gosh. You have bolts, you have nuts, you have
Washers.
uh, washers. He has you going out and getting a couple washers and putting washers in. So, and he specifies what washers, and I looked at them. I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, well, I can either sit there and hand sand down some washers to the right, you know, thickness, which just feels like jank to me. And so then I talked to him, when I ran into it on Sunday, and he's like, I would just start stacking up different combinations of the 2 millimeter shim, your 0.2 millimeter shims, until everything's at the right height. And I was just like, oh, that's gonna be a pain, because then everything else has to match up as well, you know. So that means I may have to futz around with the corner plates, the motor, the corner, the motor plates. I may have to fudge around with the carriage. So part of me says just go by the gates, but then you do the math on the gates and it's like another 50 or $60. You know, I'm like,
Yeah, they're not cheap.
yeah. So, and then that's yet another thing I have to wait on. You know, so I've got and at this point I have about $30 of shims hanging out in my parts bag, so I might as well try to get working with those. So that's probably what I'm going to go work on for at least a half hour before I grab some sleep.
Cheap.
Yeah. So how you doing otherwise, man?
Oh, not too bad. I just was at a customer's plant today.
Ah.
Yeah, they're getting us out and to the out of our houses now.
Yeah. So I actually got that one of the Beater 3s together last week that I got with Brian, and
Still think you guys are crazy.
It works flawlessly.
How many printers do you have?
I'm sitting next to 3 right now.
How many functioning printers?
2, and I've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 5. One I haven't put together yet. That's the other Ender 3. The other is my first printer that I ever bought, which was Wanhao i3 Plus, that was acting all funky, and I replaced the bed, and I'm like, okay, well, I replaced the bed because it just would not reliably, even with BL Touch, I couldn't reliably get it to bed level, and I'm like, that's not good.
I still don't know what I'm gonna do with my first printer. It just sits in the closet.
Oh. So my friend Jeff and I, we give them out to people essentially. He gave me one of the printers that I'm currently have on my bench to work on is his old Robo that he got, and everything is fine with it except for the fact that he drove the nozzle into the print bed and broke the glass. And it has one of those weird oblong, it's a rectangular print bed, but where it only prints in the center. So it looks like, when you look at it, you're like, oh man, this thing has a big build volume. And then you look at it and you realize that it only literally has a 200 millimeter by 200 millimeter build volume.
Strange.
But it looks like it should print more. But I've got that one out there that I've got to take a look at. I literally just have to replace the bed on it. And then the one that's the Wanhao that's in here, I was like, okay, well, the bed's got to be bent, and I put a ruler across it, and sure enough, you could see that the bed was warped pretty bad. So I was like, well, I'll get a new bed. Beds are cheap. For 220 millimeter bed, it's when, how, and everybody under the sun uses standard, the what is it, Mark? I forget which Mark, the prior to the Prusa Mark II print bed, and so those things are like a dime a dozen. So I bought one of those, installed it last week, fired it up. Heat bed works fine. Nozzle heats up. Try to start the nozzle and the heat bed, and the printer resets. So I'm like, that's not good. So I pulled the power supply out on Monday and swapped in a new, and it had a Meanwell power supply in it. So I swapped out the Meanwell that was in it, which was the 200, and swapped a 350 in, and it's now working just fine. So the only thing that I may do on this printer is so I tried leveling it the other day and still was having problems with it. And I believe the y-axis rods are bent. So I'll probably at some point just order 2 of them on Masumi's website and have them cut to the right length.
How bent?
And, yeah.
No, like how bent are they?
Not terribly, but both of them are bent. What I had done in the past was I found what direction they were bowed in, marked the exterior, like concave side of the bow, and basically put that so that it's on the X plane, so that it doesn't right up and down. But I think at this point they've seen enough abuse and it's old enough. I think what's happening is one is bent one way and the other is bent the other way, and so when the bed moves across it, it's twisting. So I'm
Would you
basically
say
gonna,
hey in the YouTube stream?
yeah.
That's
Yep.
probably when I didn't realize you were trying to talk to me, eh?
Yep. But so that's
Cool.
my I'm gonna try changing the rods on it, and if that doesn't fix it, it will become scrap for parts.
There was 5 viewers. It always
Wow.
puzzles me who's viewing.
Well, we got a new joiner on the Discord. They're on the Discord. They're on the.
A little bit of echo.
It's delay for dramatic effect.
Indeed. Oh, did I ever... I posted a video a while back where somebody was streaming, and then they're like, you can check out the stream on here, and they click on it, and so he starts seeing the stream that he's currently streaming, and then it just devolves into chaos. It's amazing. Oh. I've lost.
But yeah, hopefully
track.
I'll get some time over the weekend and tomorrow night to work on my printer. So.
Okay, 20 millimeter standoffs, 25 millimeter shoulder bolts.
Yep.
Oh, that's why the shoulder bolts have to be so tall, because
The
these
plate thicker.
goofy plates.
Yep.
I'm
Actually, I had a problem with them. We're going to talk to Josh about them.
Yeah.
The flexures that he built into the new plates.
Yeah, I kind of would like just to stick with the Delrin, but.
So, anyway, the flexures that he has in the new ones, you've seen that part, right?
Yeah.
they actually cause the plate to want to twist because it's uneven force on the two sides of the shoulder bolt. So, mine didn't want to sit flat, essentially. They wanted to, like, either twist away from the hex uh, spacers or towards the hex spacers. But when you look at it, it's basically because they're going to put pressure on one side, and then the other side has no ability to flex. So depending on how much force is being applied, it's going to want to twist. It works, but it's probably honestly less secure than just drilling the hole out, right?
Yeah.
And it also depends on people being able to accurately print a thin flexure, which not everyone's going to be able to pull off,
Yeah, this thing just wiggles in here.
Let me see.
Oh, I was just, I don't know if it'd be any better in the Delrin, to be honest. But I'm just kind of like, the flexure just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's gripping the bolt, but
That
the
one
whole
wasn't
point is
so
to
bad.
keep,
Right, to keep wiggle out, right?
yeah.
That one wasn't so bad. The one that was bad for me was the one that was on the motors.
So how does this double stack work? Is there a shim between the two, or no?
Which pulleys are you using? Gates or non-gates?
Gates.
Okay. So for gates, basically what he told me was it is the same. You use the same stack up there as you would use. Hold on. Assembly instructions. You use the same as you would for the normal double corner pulley plate assembly.
So there's a shim on the bottom and a shim between. Is that what it is?
So for generic, yeah, there's a shim on the bottom, for gates, there's a shim on the bottom and a shim in between, and that's it. If you're doing generics, it gets more creative. It's a shim, a pulley, a shim, a washer, a shim, a pulley, a shim, a washer.
I don't even feel like trying to comprehend what you just said.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I don't even want to try to comprehend what you just said.
Yeah, no. What was funny was when I was talking to him about it on Saturday or Sunday as I was fighting with it on my printer, and it was this conversation back and forth between us that was like, "Have you tried shim, washer?" Like it was this just constant reordering of shims and washers, and it's kind of comical.
Shim shim aladim.
Yep. So, alrighty, man. Well, I'm gonna hop off. I just want to say hey, see how things were going. You're having the same fun I have, except you have a mostly you had a mostly completed printer. I have parts.
I had a completed printer. It's no longer
I know.
completed.
So, other question I had. I asked earlier in the random, or I think I did in the random group. Thoughts on insulating the bottom. What did you use?
Insulating the bottom of the print bed?
Print bed.
Oh, shoot. I did something wrong. I did a 3mm cork And what I did is I put down one layer, and then like I put in cutouts for like wires and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then I attached another 3 millimeter thick piece on the bottom of that to create like a sandwich.
Okay.
I could probably there might be pictures back when I was doing it all.
Okay. I'm just
These
trying to decide. Some people are saying to use like the silicone mat, but my concern there is that silicone actually sticks to silicone. So if you put a silicone foam insulation against a silicone mat, it will probably fuse to the mat.
I'm I'm happy enough with what I did.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I want to be able, since I'm putting the TCOs in, I want to be able to take the TCOs out without having to completely wreck the heater mat.
Let me see if I got any pictures. I should, I think, back when I was doing all that. God, that feels like ancient history. Hmm. I could have swore I had pictures back then. Man, I've got pictures before, like my brain. If you'd have told me, hey, you did this before that, I would not have believed you. Like I got pictures of when I checked out like this building, and apparently that was before the Jubilee was built, and I swear I had. Did I not have the No, I didn't. That's right. When everything went crazy, I was still rushing to get it assembled because I was trying to get it ready for Murph, and then everything
Yeah.
locked down. And wow, so that means everything I've done on this since then has been during quarantine. Mind blown. I feel like I've had this thing
Yeah.
running for a long time. I don't know. I can't find a picture of an intermediate stage, but I'll just take a picture right now of what it looks
All
like.
right, man. And then any particular type of cork or
The
sort
brown
you
kind.
Oh, you use like a big round piece?
I said brown, but
Brown? I was like, why would you use a round piece? That's weird, but okay.
uh, here I can find you an Amazon list really quick if
I
you
was gonna
want.
say, was it just like cork tile or?
It wasn't. I ended up getting a roll for some reason. I don't know.
Ah, okay.
Well, it was. It didn't say it was a roll, but it's what it is.
See, I've even thought about getting, what's the product called? It's automotive insulation.
Did I really
Um,
spend this much money on this cork? It doesn't seem. Don't remember spending this much money, but apparently I did. 1 second.
so I literally contemplated getting like the Noiko, which is used in like cars.
There you go. I'm sure you could find something more economical than that. That's like 3 sheets of 12
Yeah,
by 36. I mean, it's like a lot.
yeah. Alrighty, man. Well, hey, thanks for the help,
Yeah, no
and
problem. Thank you for your help.
oh, no problem, man. I just saw you mess with that, and I was like, oh, I was messing with that on Saturday.
So one thing that's blowing my mind right now is that, never mind, I think I understand. Sort of. I don't understand his motivation for doing it this way, but I think I understand what his intention was. Don't
All
always
right.
understand, Josh.
He usually has his reasons.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that no ill speak here. It's just
Yeah.
I don't I can't always fathom the reasons, and then when you actually ask him about something and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll
Yeah.
buy it."
Or or there's other things that I've talked with him about, and he's like, "Yeah, I just picked that one because it was the first one I found."
Yeah, I have
And I'm
heard that
like,
one a couple times.
well, this one's better. The solid state relay, that was in the original 1.0 bomb, was like 40 something dollars.
Yeah, thanks for telling him after I bought one. Jerk.
And I just looked through and I was like, man, I'm like, these other ones are probably going to be cheaper. So, and then I looked and I checked their specs. And I'm like, okay, this from an electrical perspective looks all identical. Uh, okay, is the footprint the same? Yep, the footprint's the same. Hey Josh, how about this?
Yeah, I bought that one and I was too chicken to question it because I'm like, it's a solid state relay, and maybe there
Yeah.
must be like, this is like chosen because it's, won't make sure you won't
What's
light your
funny
house on fire or something.
is most of them that you buy, like Tyco makes a lot of them that you see sold, and people are like, oh, don't trust the cheap Chinese ones. I'm like, all the Tyco ones are cheap stuff from India. Like there's no not much of a difference there. Um, the only thing you got to watch for on the Chinese ones, and I have seen this. So in China, um, there's actually shops that specialize in recycling components, and one of the favorite things that they like to recycle is MOSFETs. And so they'll desolder MOSFETs off of old boards and then reuse them in stuff like SSRs.
Well, that
Or like
seems.
yeah. And since it's all potted, you can't see it, right? So usually it just means that it's gonna fail. When it fails, you're gonna be like, oh hey, huh, that didn't last long.
Dang,
But when you
there is not any clearance. Like, I mean, the gates are spinning freely, but Jesus, if he would have toleranced that any tighter,
yeah,
it would not have worked.
it's within like point 0.1 easily.
That's, I don't, another thing I'm not entirely sure why you would want.
The big problem I had, you remember the problem I had with the old ones, was that because the way things stacked up with the POW GE pulleys, it didn't, once again, it didn't kind of like line up right. And
Hmm.
then the big problem that created was it actually rubbed against um, the plate that you put on top, and when that one was pulled down against the standoffs, there
Well,
was
it'll
enough
just
of a
wear its hole and then you'll be fine.
well, no, it had enough flex in it that it was preventing the pulleys from turning when you tightened everything up. And so I had to print tiny little like point two spacers on the uh, standoff side, on the hex standoff side,
You
to
do
lift
realize
that
you
side
have
up.
.2 millimeter spacers in your kit, right?
Yeah, these weren't on the shoulder uh, bolts. These were on the standoffs. And so I would either have these big old spacers on the standoffs, which would look weird. So I printed little tiny. I actually basically made my own version of that plate that was 0.2 thicker around that hole. So, which is kind of what he's done on the new ones. On the thick ones, you'll notice that they're taller on one side than on the other.
Yeah, there's got like little.
It's little standoffs.
Yeah, that
It's so
was
that it
the
all
part that I was talking about a minute ago, where I like didn't really understand why this was this way.
Yep, it's so that it all stacks up right because there's like zero tolerance there. And if you don't get your like on the, I pity people who don't have the metal motor plates, because if there's any if you have any angle to your inserts, like I had on mine, it was within enough tolerance that there was just no room, none at all. So that's part of why he went to taller shoulder bolts, because it lets him have Gates compatibility and it gives a little bit more slop for the generics. So, well, hey man, I got a jet.
Yep. Have a good night.
Good talking to you, man.
Yep. You too.
Eric, you still there?
I am.
Hey, it's Aaron. How you doing?
Not bad.
You're doing your little upgrade? Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Except I found out I'm doing it wrong. Well, I needed to print a new piece, which isn't horrible. I mean, it's not like I was going to get this all finished in a day, so I'm just printing the pieces I need and moving on to a different part of the assembly process.
What, do you need the spacers?
So, I was, for whatever reason, under the... Oh, I know why I was under the impression. So, I built my printer on... everything was printed at 2.0 revision. And I never updated to 2.02. Sorry, one second.
No worries.
There we go. Anyway, I never updated to 2.02. So Josh had said something about that the spacers were the same. And that's true if you are on 2.02, but if you're on 2.01 or 2. I don't know. I know I updated my motor spacer at some point for some reason. So I wasn't on the original version, but this is just not working. Crap.
Yeah, I just spent the last like 45 minutes trying to troubleshoot a couple of my fans because I was feeling like I was pretty close to maybe trying a test print on one tool, but the fan stopped working, and I blew a fuse. You know, I mean, I'm a little concerned about wiring. Do these things blow fuses often with a couple fans running?
I've never blown a fuse.
Okay, so I must have shorted something. Then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna trace my wires before I. Yeah. Sure enough, that little 1 amp fuse on the fans on my Duet 2 blew. That's no bueno.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
So you layered 3 pieces of cork to the underside of the bed?
It's 2 pieces of cork.
2? That's 2? Okay. What did you use for glue? I didn't catch that.
The red high temperature silicone.
Glue? Right. Cool. Good. All right, sir. Well, I'm out. You have a good night.
Thanks, you too. 20.6. Theoretically, that should be 0.2.